Hello there. Welcome to Skyrim Storytime. I'm Stephanie, and this week we're going to learn an intriguing story all about dragonborns. Now, let's get on our reading glasses because obviously if you're not wearing them, you obviously can't read. There, that's better. Let's get going. The Book of the Dragonborn by a bunch of really cool people. Year 360 of the Third Era, 21st of the reign of this guy who was the fourth. Many people have heard the term Dragonborn, but we, of course, are ruled by the Dragonborn emperors. But the true meaning of the term is not commonly understood. For those of us in the Order of Talos, this is a subject near and dear to our hearts, and in this book I will attempt to illuminate the history and significance of those known as Dragonborn. Down through the ages, most scholars agree that the term was first used in connection with the covenant of Akatosh when the blessed Saint Alicia was given the amulet of kings and the dragon fires in the temple of the One were first lit. Akatosh, looking with pity upon the plight of men, drew precious blood from his own heart and blessed Saint Alicia with the blood of dragons, and made a covenant that was so long as Alicia's generations were true to the dragon blood, Akatosh would endeavor to seal tight the gates of oblivion, and to deny the armies of Daedra and undead to their enemies. The Daedra, loving... I am reading here, sir. Those blessed by Akatosh with the dragon blood became known more simply as Dragonborn. The connection with the rulers of the empire was thus therefore from the beginning only those of the dragon blood were able to wear the amulet of kings and light the dragon fires. All the legitimate rulers of the empire have been dragonborn. The empires and empresses of the first something-or-other empire, founded by Alicia, something-something, and his heirs, and, of course, Tiber Septim, and his heirs, down to our current empire, His Majesty, some guy who was the fourth. Because of this connection with the empires, however, the other significance of the Dragonborn has been obscured and largely forgotten by all but scholars and those of us dedicated to the service of the blessed Talos, who was Tiber Septim. Very few realize that being Dragonborn is not a simple matter of heredity. Being the blessing of Akatosh himself, it is beyond our understanding exactly how and why it is bestowed. Those who become empire and light the dragon fires are surely dragonborn. The proof is in the wearing of the amulet and the lighting of the fires. But were they dragonborn and thus able to do those things, or was the doing the sign of the blessing of Akatosh descending upon them? All that we can say is that it is both and neither, a divine mystery. The line of Septims have all been dragonborn, and of course, which is one reason the simplistic notion of it being hereditary has become so commonplace. But we know for certain that the early rulers were not all related. There is also no evidence that was descended from Alicia, although there are many legends that would make it so, most of them dating from the time of and likely attempts to legitimize his rule. We know that the Blades, usually thought of as the empire's... I am reading here, for goodness sakes, oh my gosh! This is very rude. Nobody gets this over at TBS. Anyway. Where was I? We know that the Blades, usually thought of as the Empire's bodyguards, originated in Crusaders who invaded for obscure reasons in the late First Era. They appear to have been searching for Dragonborn, the events of something Dragonborn. In fact, it was something Dragonborn. Something. And, of course, there is no known hereditary connection between Tiber Septim and any other Dragonborns. Whether there can be more than one dragonborn at any time is another mystery. The emperors have been doing their best to dismiss this notion, but, of course, the imperial succession itself means that at the very least there are 2 or more potential dragonborns at any time, the current ruler and his or her heirs. The history of the Blades also hints of this. Also little is known of their activities during the between and the rise of Cyber. Many believe that the Blades continue to search out and guard those they believed were or might be dragonborn during this time. Lastly, we come to the question of the true meaning of being dragonborn. The connection with dragons is so obvious that it has almost been forgotten. In these days, when dragons are a distant memory, we forget that in the early days being dragonborn meant having the I am reading here! For goodness sakes, I just lost my place. Something about the dragon blood and was meant quite literally and dragonborn stuff. I leave you with what is known as the prophecy of the Dragonborn. It often said to originate in an Elder Scroll, although it is sometimes also attributed to the ancient. Many have attempted to decipher it, and many have. Come back. And many have also believed that its omens had been fulfilled, and that the advent of the last Dragonborn was at hand. I make no claims as an interpreter of prophecy, but it does suggest that the true significance of Akash's gift to mortal kind has yet to be fully understood. Well, that was a riveting story, and packed with so much motion and passion about the the fourth, and the guy, and the guy, and the and the Dragonborn. Make sure you join us for next week's Skyrim Storytime. I'm Stephanie, and I'll see you on the next page.